It's time for Betty Boop Got the Scoop. Information about national and local entertainment. And now, here's Betty.
What's up, y'all? This is Betty Boo. I had the opportunity to speak with the CEO of FS Card and partner with Fenway Summer LLC. May I introduce to you Marla Blow. You are really doing some things here because it's a lot of financial outlets are writing about you, and your bio is so impressive, starting with your work history. Tell the listening audience about FS Card. What is FS Card and what market are you going after with the card?
The way that I describe FS Card is really that we are focused on using the latest technology, using behavioral modeling, analytics, machine learning tools to target consumers who otherwise have difficulty accessing mainstream credit. Our real focus is on building an on-ramp into traditional forms of credit access, a way out of payday loans, pawn shops, auto title, some of the other more difficult to manage credit, and into a traditional, unsecured, regular way, MasterCard branded credit card that is exactly like the credit card that a prime audience thinks of as the norm. We've described it in some cases as we are offering a prime experience to an underserved customer base. That customer has often had difficulty accessing a traditional credit card. And so what we want is to be able to use technology to communicate with these customers, get them the information they need to be able to use credit wisely, and importantly, just make credit available, right? Improve the terms as they demonstrate their ability to handle it. So in our case, what that means is improving the terms equals giving more credit, which is often the thing that is the most important and the most valuable, right? So it starts off with a $500 credit line, can easily grow to $750 and even up to $1,000 in traditional, again, regular credit that you can use anywhere that MasterCard is accepted, online, any point of sale, to be able to meet your day-to-day needs for a little bit of liquidity. And that's really what we do. It's really what we focus on.
How is FS Card different from some of the other credit cards out there?
One of the things we really wanted was to create parity. We want people to have an experience that is on par with the experience that people in super prime and prime who would never think about having a secured card. We want to make a similarly unsecured card available to this customer base. What does make us different is we are very transparent in what we do. There are no tricks or traps or things to be learned later as you bump when you stub your toe using the product, right? So the fees don't go up. They don't go up in year two. They don't go up if you for some reason miss a payment, for example. We do assess a late fee if you miss your payment, and that's part of the risk that we bear. But we also don't add fees. We don't cut your credit line, right? There's none of the behavior that would have been problematic.
Wow, that is great.
In a credit card product in years past. We
right.
don't do any of that.
That is so great.
We focus on giving a transparent upfront deal.
That is wonderful. How has it been so far?
We've got about 50,000 accounts out there, and we've extended $25 million of credit. And we are growing very aggressively. We are out soliciting customers right now. The way that it works is we identify people and we send out mail, and the offer shows up in your mailbox. There's a link there. You can go to that link, put it in your phone, complete the application, and we'll get the card back out to you. And we'll give you updates on how your application is performing and when you can expect the card to actually show up in your mailbox, and then you can go out and use it. But it's again, very standard experience of how credit cards are offered in our market today. And our plan is certainly to broaden out and grow and offer through other channels as well. But for now, we continue to add 5,000 to 10,000 customers per month, and the large majority of them coming through the direct mail channel. By the end of 2017, everybody that wants to can find us online at thebuildcard.com, and will be able to apply proactively.
What are some of the roadblocks you've come to thus far?
The big one on starting a business like this is capital, right? This is a capital-intensive business. That means I have to have the money in order to be able to lend it out to the consumers who are walking around using this card day to day. and making sure that we have that access to capital so we can serve larger and larger and larger body of customers is the real challenge on something like this. It's just an unusual pursuit, right? There are not very many people who started credit card companies from scratch.
And then how hard was it for you as a female, an African-American female, to launch such a product in a male-dominated business?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It is a very male-dominated space. Financial services, in general, is incredibly skewed in the direction of being overwhelmingly a male profession. It is the industry that I've spent my life in, and the one good thing that I have been able to do over the course of my career is build up a lot of relationships. Going all the way back, right? We started off about the time I spent at Morgan Stanley and where I started my career in investment banking. Some of the capital that I've raised has come because of those relationships that I built up, and I've now known those people for 20 years.
That is
and they
wonderful.
were some of the ones to make the first investment in this. Yeah, and so the thing that I guess I would say about that is it's even more important for me, given some of the differences in demographics, for me to have people have incremental knowledge of me. It's not enough to just have the business. It's not enough to just have a very solid plan and approach. There's also I know this person, and I feel comfortable investing, in the end, pretty large dollars into something like this because this is someone that I've had a long-standing experience of and feel a little bit more comfortable on the margin, despite the fact that you might not look like me.
Right.
Because getting over that hurdle of not looking like me is a big one.
I'm sure it is.
I don't downplay that or underestimate it.
I'm sure it is. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
You know what? Part of this for me is this is a for-profit business, but it's also for a purpose. I feel really, really strongly about the need to give people access to the same tools that everybody else, that is the norm in this country, right?
Yes.
And when I found out that there's a group of people, and in this case, not a small group, right? 20 to 30 million
I was
Americans,
about to ask you how many.
Overwhelmingly.
20 to 30 million?
Go ahead. What's that?
Wow.
Yeah, 20 to 30 million Americans that don't have access to reasonably priced credit, right, that either have subprime scores or are credit invisible, meaning that they are literally not showing up at any of the credit bureaus at all, and that those customers are therefore using things like this kind of alternative financial system, suspected that what's going on in that alternative system is probably not working that well for those people. And when I looked into it, sure enough, I discovered that in many cases those customers were struggling to make those products work for them. And I just didn't feel comfortable standing by and letting that happen, knowing the things that I know. So when it's hard and when I feel overwhelmed, I think about the people who are left trying to deal with very expensive costs of credit, right, or don't have access to be able to, to bridge the gap at the end of the month. I think about that. I think about how important it is that we create opportunities for exactly that population. And I'll add, because I know the demographic makeup of that population, which is much more likely to look like me, I do bring a bit of a personal angle as well.
That is fantastic. What advice would you give to other women entrepreneurs when it comes to starting a business?
I recommend actually finding something to do where you can get a small version of what you have in mind out there. Demonstrate that customers want this. Demonstrate that people are willing to pay for it. Demonstrate that this works and does what you say it's going to do, even in a very small scale. But being able to walk around and talk about some kind of performance data, some kind of metrics, some kind of demonstration of the concept is just a completely different ballgame than walking around talking about an idea, right, or talking about how important it is that I start this new thing and I haven't started yet. Find some way to get an early prototype or an early beta version of your product or your service out there as early as possible and choose something that does not have a gigantic barrier to entry.
And thank you so much for joining Betty Boo Got the Scoop. I wish you much success with your business venture, and you are welcome to come back anytime to give updates.
Thank you so much, Betty. This has been fantastic. I appreciate it.
Motivational quote for today: never give up on your dream. Dream big, baby.
That's going to do it for this report. If it happened, if it's happening now, if it will happen, you better believe Betty Boop got the scoop. See ya later.